Hello, fellow humans. My name is Ben, or for now, Extant. I'm not even sure if I pronounced that right, don't care. I'm not picky. I've had a lot of ideas floating around in my noodly brain on what kind of videos I want to make, and thoughts on what I'd actually do with some kind of video channel thing. My interests rarely stay parked in one category. And over the years, I've had a pretty nasty hobby of rotating. Rotating hobbies just completely. It's just what I do, just period. Kind of comfortable with it, so whatever. So I sat my ass down and I asked myself, what things never rotate out? What's always gonna be floating around somewhere in my conscious, subconscious space? Spoilers, I landed on kind of my own philosophy, my own personal takes on things, my thoughts, my politics, and my general way of being. I know that's incredibly narcissistic, but, whatever. My way of living, basically, which is not necessarily the best, but I imagine it's different. So, a little bit about me first. I guess, since that probably matters to a lot of people out there, most people, I presume. People like to know who's talking, generally, right? I don't know. I'm not a person. I'm not real. I'm fictional. Accept it. I'm 32 years old, bisexual, autistic, co-parent, and I live in Florida. Yeah, we'll go with Florida. I'm basically that. And I have 2 jobs at the moment. There's obviously a lot more about me as a person, but I have no idea what I'm doing. This is obviously video 1. My laptop is a potato, and I guess if you ask me about my politics, I would just say I'm a very, very lazy anarchist. When I was in my 20s, or even 2 years ago, I would have just said radical alt-centrist, because my ideas, I thought, were from all over, but it turns out most of them are in that left part, that left stuff. So yeah, over there somewhere. And of course, I'm being really vague here because I don't know what direction I'm taking things in, and I'm not here to talk about, anarchy. There's a lot of people talking about that already. On to what I'm talking about anyways. So, point of the video. When you Google the word man, you're met with the definition, an adult male human being. That's what Google gives me. It's probably what Google's going to give you. Which sounds super clinical, and I'm not about that. I'm not about textbooks. It's not my thing. So I Googled manliness. And I was confronted with a website called The Art of Manliness. Very first result for me. A website just barraging me with trash, like A Man's Guide to Wearing Rings, and James Bond Stoicism. Ugh. I get that some people might be fine with these types of articles, or just see them as maybe benign. Personally, I just can't with all of it. And I digress. The manliness industry is not exactly what I want to talk about, as much as I despise it. I'm not a fan of it. Today I want to confront the concept of manliness itself in our culture. I'm American, United States, that whole deal. What it is, what it isn't, why I can't make sense of it, a solution, maybe? Okay, I'm kind of doing loose bullet points. Fuck it, I never intended to when I started writing this. I literally wrote fuck it in my notes because I don't like bullet points, but here I am with very loose bullet points. Anyways, we'll start with what is manliness. And I can only speak, obviously, on my own experiences and my own inference from living. So if you disagree, neato. Cool story, bro. Maybe you got lucky and weren't exposed to the same just bullshit as me. It happens. In the environment I grew up in, as an adult and a child, the definitions of manliness varied a bit here and there. But there's some recurring themes I've noticed. I know books have been written on this, but I don't read. Anyways, the things I picked up on is you have bravery, you have stoicism, toughness, just that ruggedness, that fearlessness, honor. You gotta be rugged and do shit yourself. You gotta pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You gotta go be a man, do the man thing. The perfect man is in perfect shape, with perfect rugged manly hands and a perfect impenetrable mental status. A perfect man walks into the Alaskan wilderness and builds a house with his bare fucking hands. Alone. A perfect man doesn't make love. He fucks. And he brags to all of his friends about it, while eating a steak and drinking a beer and smoking a cigar. You see what I'm painting here. The perfect man disciplines his children with abuse. The perfect man controls everything. A perfect man bleeds charisma and just flouts whatever machismo is. And a perfect man is so painfully heterosexual. So painfully hetero that even gay thoughts are just something to be mocked. It's an insult. That's gay. But at the same time, the perfect man is a big-dicked alpha who's at least 6 feet. And man to man, I'm not sure how we're supposed to be checking these things out, because by this metric, physicals are kind of gay. So, not sure what the point is there. Of course, again, we're all exposed to different things. A lot of these things have changed over time. Some have not. Some of it's changed in pockets. It's all about the friends you have, the culture around you, the TV, family. All of that influences your own personal definition. And obviously today, like I said, a lot of spaces like YouTube and other social media are now a factor. If you're searching for examples of what I'm talking about, the more right-leaning side of YouTube is full of the manly men. It's full of the clean-cut, well-spoken, well-dressed men who do all they can to control the conversation around them and just find themselves incapable of being wrong. It's, absolute manliness there. You're not allowed to be wrong. Now for what manliness is not. If you can't tell, this video is not about my supporting the modern take on manliness. So, to start with, manliness is not femininity. It is not a woman. Or manliness, or is not traits many people associate with women. It is not weak, or delicate, or soft. Manly men don't moisturize or take care of their skin, which I mentioned earlier. Some things seem to be changing over time, and people have started marketing to men to do things like basic self-care, like moisturize, smell okay. What fascinates me, really, and what gets me going about this is the ongoing theme of a kind of wall. Men don't have emotion. Men don't have weaknesses, at least none you can see. The manliness mindset leaves no room for personal self-discovery. You're a man. Fuck self-care. None of that. A big, tough, manly man never gets help. Never admits wrongdoing. Never backs down. Walking away from something isn't manly. A manly man never takes no for an answer. And this is where things get kind of bad. Lately, it seems, men also like to yell into cameras and microphones and be right about all of the politics, regardless of different opinions and how much sense or how much time maybe you should spend looking into those. That one's starting to get really, really old, but apparently people like it, so to each his own. I'd like to think there's a sphere where shit doesn't get super fucking heated. I don't get it. My point is, after this meandering, is that fear of being defeated and fear of being seen as any kind of effeminate is a huge core feature of this masculine, rugged manliness image. And it's honestly kind of funny to me. Like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, okay, what's wrong with being a little softer? What's wrong with admitting you're wrong? And what's wrong with exploring things? How is that a detriment to manliness? How's a pair of heels gonna make your dick fall off, guys? Like, for real. It seems very contradictory, this obsession with not being feminine. It's all crafted anyways. None of it's real. But I guess I can't help but ask about the why, obviously, is my next big question. Why these rules? Why do they exist? How the fuck did we get here? How did we get here? Here's what I can't make sense of. Did we sign up for this? Did I wake up one day buying into all of this masculine culture? I didn't sign up for anything. And I loathe the implication that any deviation from this prescribed masculinity is impure, or, as a lot of people like to say, degenerate. It's such a worthless phrase. Listen, any brand of manliness that doesn't leave room for just my love of femboys, it's invalid. I can't accept it. I'm sorry. I just can't. Life is about variety in all facets. And crushing everyone with a dick into one little category of behaviors and expectations is disgusting to me. This leaves no room to figure out who you are or who you want to be, when every deviation is a threat to manliness as a whole. It's a huge weakness, and you cover it up by just swinging your dick around. And it's not working, dudes. It's not working. None of this is working. It's not holding on. Personally, I've in the past felt justified in a lot of really shitty behaviors just by being a man. I mean, anger issues. I used to run a household, and I was just super shit at sharing the load. You gotta drop the pride for a minute to run an entire household with another human being. It's not just you. But these are things that manliness gets in the way of. The insistence on balance, or can't do this, or can't do that. And I guess this leads into my biggest beef with the man thing. And this is the biggest point I want to make. Stick with me for a minute here. The longevity of gains made via machismo, the everything you gain through acting manly, all those self-help videos on being manly, all that advice. And there's one very, very important fact that they leave out of these things, and I will call this a fact. Everything you gain through this fake veneer of masculinity is at risk of vanishing. Poof. In a cloud of smoke. New habits? Fine. That's awesome. Great. Go clean your room. Maybe you look terrible with a beard, and maybe you should shave it. Sure. Well-fitting clothes usually look better on a person. But that girlfriend you got through crass pickup artistry manipulation won't last. Not when you finally let your guard down and act like the person you really are. what happens to all those homophobic bro friends when you decide that it's time to drop the act and admit that you would like to try dating a dude? Maybe there is a little interest there, but by buying into this whole manliness thing, you're locked in. Think about this. Think about all those stories about televangelists or the megachurch pastors. Inevitably, so many of them wound up being caught in a scandal where they have secret male lovers on the side. And you have to ask, why are they doing that? It's their entire life is built around manliness as part of their own religion, as part of their dogma. Part of the community they're in charge of expects them to behave this kind of crafted masculinity. They're not allowed to growth. They're not allowed to grow. They're not allowed to explore their desires, their wants, what may potentially become a need for them. They're stuck in a society and a culture of manliness and rigid structures and pitfalls. An entirely fake world where you're not really yourself. Now, I'm not against self-improvement. I'm against taking on a personality that isn't yourself. You can stop being creepy. That's an improvement. You can stop whatever simping is. Fine, sure. But you don't have to be manly. You don't have to do this. And because if you latch onto it, and it's not what you really are, it can't last. And that's kind of my answer. Stop. It's dumb. That's the next bullet point here, all right? Let's say you just happen to be manly in some respects, naturally. That's awesome. Super good for you. I have nothing against it. Enjoy your calloused hands and your rugged charms and charisma that is just working for you. What I'm against is the assumption that it fixes things. That the only way to be happy or to be fulfilled is to act like that. If we collectively agree to just abandon manliness and the pedestal it's on, its death grip is over. That's all it takes. You have nothing to defend, nothing to prop up. And that gives you room to breathe, to be yourself. If you hate yourself, you should work on fixing that. Subscribing to an entire ideology that's based on self-loathing and insecurity won't fix that. You don't latch onto online personalities, toxic or not. It's not necessarily healthy. Trying to craft a narrative on how you should live. It's ridiculous. You shouldn't put yourself in boxes. Not if you're trying to be happy. But you see, now I've dug a deeper hole, haven't I? What if I'm dependent on masculinity? What if my entire persona, my entire being, hinges on being some big alpha male? What if you're already in there? Well, you're not entirely fucked, obviously. Time moves on. I can't tell you how to back away from being a ultra manly man. I can't tell you what behavior to stop first or how to ease back a bit without losing some friends. Because even at my worst as a person, I was never 100% into this. I've always questioned what a man is a lot. But if you do decide to just walk away from it, walk away from this entire crafted image that you're projecting, what do you have? You're back to yourself. and you're probably left staring into a void. A void with no answers. A void with no answers to your questions or your problems. I get it. I understand that. If manliness is something you have faked to survive, which is the kind of manliness I'm talking about, getting rid of it would likely involve replacing it with something else. Or would it really? Just consider the idea of nothing. You look into that hole and, at least for a minute, accept that nothing is the answer. What if you're here not to be manly, not to be religious, not to serve anyone or any mode of being? What if you're just here? We are all just here. That's my personal solution to any kind of repression or toxic ideology, is that we're just here. Just be. Now, at this point, I'm really tempted to go on, but I'm unsure what direction to go from here. If you've gotten this far, and you accept the entire premise of what I've laid out, the idea that crafted ideals of manliness are just completely worthless and need to be discarded, what to do next is entirely up to you. I'm not here to radicalize or de-radicalize anyone. I'm not here to spread my particular political or philosophical views. All I can do is tell you what I think, how I live, and how I operate, what ideals I do live up to, which to me are mostly pretty basic. I dropped a few links in the word box guy down there under the video to some interesting videos, some things that influence or at least lay basic groundwork for how I function. One of which is a really good TEDx talk on getting over super shitty breakups, which I recommend to basically all of humanity. I thought it was a super great video the first time I watched it, and I still do. And if you like what you hear, I can go on. I'm a man. I have opinions. I have thoughts on lots of things. Comment, please comment. Let me know how you felt about this. Subscribe. And tell me what you want. The whole deal. You know how this works. I presume you've watched other YouTube videos. And good luck functioning, everybody.